Hello, and welcome to Living Proof, the Isaac Newton Institute podcast. My name is Dan Aspel, and I'm your host. Today, Dr Marianne Freiberger and myself are joined by Professor Anita Layton of the University of Waterloo. Professor Layton is visiting the Newton Institute as part of the Frontiers in Kinetic Theory programme. We've managed to steal her away from the workshop for half an hour to tell us about her work, which spans multiple fields, her dedication to increasing diversity within mathematics and the other sciences, and finally, about being a 2021 winner of the Top 100 Most Powerful Women in Canada Awards. We very much hope you enjoy the episode. So, Professor Anita Layton, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to Living Proof, the Isaac Newton Institute podcast. Hello.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And joining us today is Dr Marianne Freiberger, who is one of the editors of Plus magazine.
Hello, and thanks for having me.
We work together very closely, and you are a mathematician, so you're going to be very helpful in speaking to Anita, who has just told us she doesn't have a maths degree, so we've got that in common.
Yeah.
But what you do have is a lot of very, very other impressive things on your CV. But let's begin right at the beginning. The reason you're here is because we have a workshop, which the listeners can hear in the background, in kinetic theory. And you're here for just this week, I believe.
Yes.
And tell me about why you're here for this workshop. What is it that appealed to you about it, and what made you come to Cambridge from Canada?
So I have a friend here who's organizing the workshop. That's one reason. I also love applying math to everything you can find. So most of my work has to do with applying math to understand biology and disease, but I'm also happy to branch out. So a lot of what I do is to say, I try to use math to understand. So I like answering scientific questions. So, there are mathematicians who like to prove theorem, which is great. I try to use those theorems, but that's not what I do. I always start with a scientific question. So, for example, if you have diabetes, 5, 15, 20 years down the road, are you going to lose your eyesight? Are you going to lose your food? Or are you going to lose your kidney? Which one is it? It'll be a really important question because, if I know where you're heading, I can try to treat you better. So there are many. So for this question, it's like really clinical, which it is, right? So, but it requires collaboration of researchers from number of disciplines to really make progress. Because this is a very hard question that people have tried to tackle for decades. So you have clinicians working together with biologists, and I'm a math person who do simulation. So, you can try on different drugs. You can try many different drugs that, in a way that's a lot cheaper to understand how they work rather than running clinical trial. And you don't have to kill people. So once you find something that's promising, then you ask, pharmaceutical company to run clinical trial, which is expensive, but, you have higher chance of success. So that, I can go on, but, I like to apply math to real life problem. And, this is one way to do it here, the workshop.
Absolutely. And are you finding that a lot of the people you've spoken to so far, although granted it's only day one, are giving you insights into other sectors of the field that can affect your work?
Yeah, because they're slightly different from me, right? So I hang out a lot with clinicians, physiologists, and people who do math biologists. So this is more like physics, right? Which, by the way, I do have a degree in. I have a degree not in mathematics or biology, but physics and computer science. I can go on, tell you the background, but that's not what this is about. So I like looking at problem from many different angles. So for instance, after moving to Canada, which is 3 years ago, I deliberately put together a really diverse group of trainees, like grad students and postdocs from different backgrounds. I used to have people with a math degree come here and get another math degree, right? But I have a larger group now, so I try to get people from physics, engineering, and one have math and philosophy, right? So they would look at the problem and ask very different questions. Like the same question, the physicist will ask me about entropy. I don't think about it this way. Why are you asking me that? But you can look at it that way, which is really cool, right? So expand your horizon. So I've learned that, I like talking to people who understand me, but I even enjoy more talking to people that I don't quite understand. That's how you learn new things.
That's fabulous. And yeah, you've hinted a little bit about how, to use a buzzword, interdisciplinary this is, and how interdisciplinary your own background is. Because from what we read online, you started out with a physics degree, changed to computer science. You're part of biomedical engineering in the Department of Medicine previously, which you've mentioned before. I'm missing things out here, but it's very, very varied, isn't it?
Yes, I like to make friends. It is really important because I'm not that smart. Like Newton, right? Like I'm not that smart that I can learn everything and just solve a problem by myself. I think my best quality is to make a lot of friends. So when I need an expert in this area, hey, I know who to call, and the guy will talk to me. And then somebody else, hey, this is the world's expert. And yes, I had dinner with her maybe 2 months ago. Let's call it up. So that has been very helpful. I do love working with people because, I learn so much, and, maybe I can contribute a little bit because I really admire, oh, yeah, this. Really, really cool. Like, you know something I don't. That's awesome. Maybe I know something you don't too. Maybe not. Then, that's fine too. So I don't know. I love working with people. And I think that's really how you can make progress with big problems. A little problems, sure, you can do it on your own. But big one, like problems that are worth tackling, spending a decade or two of your life on, they are difficult. And you really have to be super arrogant to think that you can do it on your own.
Well, I think you're in the right place for some collaborative working.
Yeah.
Marianne?
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the things I was going to ask you about the interdisciplinarity, because even to be at a workshop like this one here, I mean, you've got to be pretty well versed in the field. How do you even manage to stay on top of so many different fields? I mean, you say it's through communications and through accepting that you don't know and they will help you out there. Is that how it works?
So I would have to say I don't always understand every single slide in a talk, right? I don't. So there are talks that are kind of over me, right? But you do try to learn. You be very open-minded and learn a lot. I go to different meetings. I go to all kinds of different workshops and meetings. I go to this one. I go to a lot of kidney workshop and diabetes. And they will be talking about molecules and stuff that I don't know. So what I would like to, in a talk, like a 1 hour talk, right? I should follow, at least 15 or 30 minutes of it. And once you get to proving a theorem, depending whether I'm distracted by emails and such, right? If not, then maybe I can follow some of it. Maybe not, which may be okay, depending on how close it is to me. Like some of these are not entirely close to me, so maybe, I follow some of it and some I don't. But that's okay. So I do ask myself to at least get the take-home message, right? And typically, the paper is published somewhere. So if I want to drill in the details, I read the paper because it gives me some time, for my slow brain to finally get it to work with and look things up on Google and stuff. Okay, I don't understand this theme. Oh, well, this is how it goes. So you can do that. And honestly, if a talk that doesn't keep me engaged for 15 minutes, it's not my fault. This is what I ask of my students as well, and myself. Right? You give a talk, you should be able to keep everybody in the room engaged for at least 15, 20 minutes. And then motivation, background. Who cannot understand that? I can talk to a first, second years Americans, not talking about the British. Very basic. You should at least get them to appreciate why you're spending, years of your life working on this problem. You don't have to dumb it down, not at all. You have to talk about it, in a way that people can understand, in a way that they can tell that you love it. I mean, if you just blah, 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 okay. If you don't show that you love it, no one wants to follow. And then, you can talk about details and such, and in a way that, people can follow.
Mm. And what do you think do you have to bring then to a workshop like this? Because you'll be interacting with people who are, probably focusing on, kind of very well described areas of research very deeply. What do you think you can bring to it? Do you bring a viewpoint?
So let's say biology, right? So I spent many years working on the kidney. Okay, not a lot of mathematicians work on it actually. Not really. A lot of math people work on the brain and stuff because I think in some way they're more. I think the mathematical formulations is more well studied. Kidney is a lot of messy. what I bring is, I think more and more people appreciate the importance of data and the importance of modeling. Not everybody. I think when I started, maybe 15, 20 years ago, a lot of biologists are not that inclined to talk to mathematicians. Because when you build a model, you have to make a lot of simplification. And they're like, oh my God, then it's not real. But, well, guess what? Your experiments are kind of artificial as well. You don't say that to them. You can say it to yourself. You do not say that to them, right? So I think what I personally contribute to it is that I make math, I think I made math a lot more approachable to them. When I give a talk to this audience, I am giving a talk to this audience, versus I'm giving a talk in my home math department, or if I'm giving a talk in a physiology department. Half of my talk are actually given in medical school. The talks are vastly different. They're entirely different. Not because I dumb it down, because I will tell them what they need to know. Do they need to know the theorem behind my model? No, they do not. But they do need to understand the implication of the finding. If I'm giving the same talk to a math department, I will focus on the numerics, the methodology, not so much how you interpret, how eating salt and then ACE inhibitor is going to change your blood pressure. Shoot, that who cares, right? So you think about what your audience cares about. Give them mostly that, and then a little bit more, so that you also want to expand their horizon as well, right? So it's like feeding your kid vegetable and stuff, right? So you mix it with stuff that they like. So this is how I do it, and I think it can be successful because the kidney community claim me as one of them. I actually do. I was the deputy editor for a kidney physiology journal. There's no math in it actually before I came in. So, they accept me because I religiously go to every single one of them and big annual meeting for years. I religiously, hang out with them, go to bars and stuff, even though I don't drink. You make friends and of course you also have to learn this stuff, right? If you just hang out socially, you don't know anything about a kidney who wants to talk to you, right? So there are many ways. And you can truly bridge two disciplines if you try. You have to understand that, okay, just because they don't know your equation doesn't mean they're dumb, right? That means they know something else that you do not. So you try to talk to people in a way that understand, and we should be able to do it. I mean, we're all teachers, right? So if we can teach a student, assuming that we can surely talk to, other scientists.
I think it's becoming clearer and clearer why you were voted one of the top 100 most powerful women in Canada last year.
Thank you.
So there's a few other things. You mentioned about liking people, and that's why you enjoy coming to events like this. So that's quite apparent in work that you do to foster diversity and inclusion in the various fields in which you're involved. So I'm aware that you helped arrange mentorships between older and younger female mathematicians or female scientists in general. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what stimulated you to get involved in that?
So I've done it gradually for a few years. I can tell you what I've been doing today, and I can tell you why I started. So when I was Duke, I ran a bunch of mentorship program for faculty and more junior faculty, more senior faculty. It improved. I think I can't claim all the credit because there are other women who work with me as well. It did improve the environment quite a bit. I think when I just joined there many years ago, I think there were no female identifying distinguished professor. When I left, I guess maybe 25% or so are women. Not the best, but still, from zero, and it's an infinite change, right? So good for you. At Waterloo, I moved there, relocated there almost 4 years ago. So I was very lucky that the Vice President for Research and International was very supportive of this initiative. So I met with her before I joined, and she was like, "Oh yeah, let's work with me." I was like, "Really? That's good." So I worked with many deans, presidents, provosts, all kinds of big deans, little deans, and stuff. Most of them are somewhat indifferent, I would say, to the cause, right? So when I want to do something because Anita is loud and pushy, right? They give me some, like, here's some money, go away. But like I found people who are the person I work with is really genuinely interested. I remember she would send me ideas like in the middle of the night. Usually I'm the one who do that to people. You do? So I mean, it's really good to have real support, like that's beyond money, and that's good. So I have a lot of staff support and resources to do that. There are so many ways that things can be improved. I mean, just pick up something, right? For instance, if you look at grants award or especially industry award, the gender ratio, I'm just talking about gender, there's also race to talk about. I haven't even gotten there. Gender, even if you take into account, the difference in male and female faculty member, you still have, a lot of men getting it more so than women, especially industry, which rely on personal relationship, right? So we try to host events, that try to connect not just women, but also early career researchers, the industry and various opportunity. I think it's kind of a Canadian thing, but also women thing. If you, if I ask a male faculty member if they want to be nominated for this award, rarely do anybody say no. If you're American, never. Canadian, there is a chance. But for women, I got the no thank you so often, right? Let's not waste your time. Say, why? Come on, why would you do that? It could be, I think a lot of them is like fear of, maybe rejection. So I figured out a way to do that. I will proudly tell them that, hey, you know what? I got turned down for a lot of nomination, a lot of grant, and guess what? I don't care. People don't remember when you got a no. They only remember the time. Like the most powerful women thing. I have a bunch of other things that I didn't get. Guess what? But they only remember the things that you do get, right? So just let me nominate you already. What's the problem? So I actually tell people that all the time, especially the younger one. They don't know that it is okay to fail. Like the best people never fail. I guess they're such unicorn in the world. But guess what? Hey, I think I do pretty well, and I fail all the time, and that's okay.
Yes, an amazing lesson there about determination, tenacity. Just keep going, keep trying. That's wonderful. I guess another aspect of that is that there's a flavour here of all of the work you've spoken about as being, if we can term it this, for social good. So medical care, for example, like a big example there, and then a lot of work for equality, diversity and inclusion. So again, social good. Would you say that your work across various fields all adds up to that? Is that what motivates you, do you think?
You make it sound so good.
Noble and good, exactly, yeah.
It excites me to do something that has meanings. That's impactful. I think as I get older, that becomes more and more important. I think when I was a junior faculty member, I'm happy to publish in some academic journal, right? That's what we do. That's how we got the promotion, get grants, and get paper published. I think as I get older, it's more important to me that the work has impact. So I will do podcasts here. In Canada, I do various interviews. I wrote op-eds in newspaper. For diversity and equity, not just in science. For medical care, right? So clinical trial used to be mostly men. Even aspirin is awful. Or that animal is the same thing, right? Male because the female they have menstrual cycles, so it messes up the experiment. Yeah, that is true, but it's just too bad, right? So that becomes more important to me, and I feel like it's important to do things that you love, right? So that's why I choose what I do.
And you've said some really uplifting and inspiring things about how people can make friends and spread themselves across these fields and just not be afraid to fail. Can I ask you a little bit about how you came to be involved in the science that you're involved in? And by that I mean, were you a teenager? Were you 8 years old when you realised that you wanted to study what you went on to study? Physics and computer
I should
science?
tell you that. Okay, so one of the first thing I told you here is that I don't have a math degree. Let me tell you why. So I grew up in Hong Kong. Okay, so there, the system here is similar, right? So I went to this school it goes all the way from kindergarten to primary school and secondary school. Okay, what does it matter? So I basically grew up in that school, and guess what? My father does. He's the head of the high school math program. Okay, so ever since I was maybe 4 or 5, I would go to these staff meetings, Chinese New Year, Mid-Autumn Festival, and then his colleagues would come and pat me on the head and say, Anita, you're so smart, you're going to grow up and be a mathematician or math teacher, just like your father. So I have a rebellion streak. I don't know if you noticed. I thought to myself, that is the last thing I'm ever going to do. Never. So then, 18 years passed by. I went to college at Duke. And so, I decided math is going to be the last thing I'm going to major in. No way. So I decided to do physics, which is very mathy, but not math, so that's good. But then that's when I realized I am very clumsy. Actually, I hope I never break this mic. So I cannot do any experiment right. So there is some field around me. I hope the physicists don't hear me say that. I cannot do any physics experiment. A field around me where gravity is not 9.7, 9.8, it's 3. I have no idea why, measure this, the tap thing gets to acceleration gravity. It's not 9.7, it is 3. I have no idea why it turns out that way. I can read and follow instruction, just never turn out. So there's only so much physics you can do, partnering, make friends. That's why I learned to make friends. You make a friend and have them do the work, and then you write the analysis piece of cake. So I decided that I should do computer science, because if anything goes wrong, first of all, there is no fire, there is no spark, there is no smell. No one has to know. So, that works well for me. So I got a computer science degree and a physics degree. And then I went on and do PhD in computer science. But then what I really like is actually science. I love science, right? So to me, computer science, math are, like very, very fun tool that you can help me answer the question. So I love fluid. I decided I like things that flow. So I did a PhD in numerical weather prediction. And then after that, I decided, well, let's try something else. And I thought blood flow is cool. It flows too. So I started, working on blood flow and the kidney. Now, modeling require a lot of science background. Oh, I didn't tell you. I actually didn't take any biology and chemistry in college because in the grade 11 biology, they had a dissection experiment on a frog. Everybody's frog was beautifully pulled out, and you can see the internal organ. Mine was a bloody mess. So I cannot do experiment there either. So didn't take any biology or chemistry in college. But then, I grew up in Hong Kong, so I did all chem and stuff in high school, so that's okay. So anyway, where am I? So I wanted to answer, biological question because it is nice. And I try to do math. I didn't really have, when I was starting, I didn't really have enough. You have to have a lot of not just background, not just college background, right? You're doing research, so you have to know something that people don't. And I wouldn't, I just jump in. So I take somebody else's model of the kidney, and because I was trained in scientific computing, I solved those equations faster. So I did a lot of technical improvement on existing model. And after you play with it for a very long time, and learn whatever you don't know. I think it took me about 2, 3, 4 years and started my own modeling. And it goes from there.
Well, it's a roller coaster journey and very exciting as well. The way you describe it makes it sound like a thrilling ride.
It is fun.
Yes, Marianne, if you wanted to.
So I'm just wondering, so the connection between this particular program on kinetic theory and the kidney, is it via the blood flow? Is that where the connection
blood
lies?
flow, coupling, and a lot of things like that, yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering how many programs we've got coming up this year and next that you could apply to.
Probably many.
Yeah, exactly. What are you most excited about this week in the talks up ahead, the sort of aspects of what's going to be?
All of them. It's hard. So I look at the title, right? It doesn't say a whole lot. They're so cool. So I can appreciate different aspects, right? So the first one is more numerical. right? Which is cool, which is not modeling per se, but it's about numerics. I mean, I can talk about grid. That's what I was trained years ago. So I appreciate what they do. I may not necessarily adopt it to my work, but I mean, you just never know, right? You come to a talk and say, oh, well, this is cool. Well, don't see immediate application yet, but let's just put it aside in the drawer, drawer number B3 in my brain. And who knows, right? Like 2, 3, 5 years down the road, you might have some vague memory of, oh, I heard a talk like that. And then you look it up. And then maybe it's useful. That's why I tell my grad students too, just go to the seminars already. Okay, so this is not I understand grad students always think they're busy. Okay, I don't really care. Okay, you're not half as busy. Okay, I shouldn't say that. But but just go to this talk. I understand it's not entirely relevant or even relevant at all to your thesis, but you don't know what you will need in 5, 6 years. And guess what? When you go on a job market and you are going to this one-on-one meeting, you have to be able to BS competently, at least superficially, on a lot of topic, or you ain't gonna get hired.
Another fantastic life tip. So thank you very much for that. Is this your first visit to the Newton Institutes?
Yes.
Yeah,
I love it.
And Cambridge in general? How are you enjoying the few hours that you've spent here so far?
Oh, no, I came here last Friday.
Okay, so you've had a weekend.
I love it. It's so beautiful. So I walked all around downtown. All the sites that you're supposed to go to. I love it. And yesterday, I actually took a train to London, King's Cross, and I walked for 6 hours. It was really nice.
Okay, wow.
I am so happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can sense this zest for discovery and learning. It's infectious. So, as people can probably tell by the fact that the background's gone silent, the workshop has gone back in for another seminar, and I feel guilty keeping you out of it. Marianne, did you have any other questions you wanted to ask Anita?
Well, no, that was so much interesting stuff there. So thanks very much for talking to us. That's fascinating.
It's fun. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, it's been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the week.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
Yeah, and we look forward to following what happens next for you.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.